What is up everybody, it's Catchamalsalt, and in today's video I'll be discussing a very controversial topic, and that topic being who is best Pokemon. I'm a humongous anime fan and I would love to talk about anime on this channel, but I want to keep this channel mainly Pokemon. Started with dead last, no need to ask suspense, you already know who it is. Iris. Let's start off with Iris' character design, which is probably her biggest strength. I actually appreciated how she was the first Pokegirl that wasn't overly sexualized. She just had a natural beauty to her and there was no miniskirt needed. I also liked her long hair that acted as a Pokeball for her Axew because it was quite unique and actually very cute. But that's about it for her redeeming qualities. Let's move on to fan reception. I would be lying if I told you I wasn't in the majority that just doesn't like Iris. But I actually have reasons, and I'll get to that later. But some people just don't like her just because. But I think I found the real reason why people just don't like Iris and why she is the least popular Pokegirl. And it has to do with the series that she was a part of. She's unfairly bunched in with the Black and White series, which is to date the worst Pokemon anime. No debate, it was bad. So some of the hate she garners is from the fact that fans just didn't like anything about that series. Just think about it. Black and White Ash is the worst Ash. Silent is the worst Brock replacement. And Iris, unfairly, is the worst Pokegirl. You might think that's unfair and I will have to agree. But Iris didn't do herself any justice with her lack of character development. So to look at Iris' lack of character development, we have to take a look at her journey and her goal. Iris' goal is to become a Dragon Master. But what does that really mean? You might think a Dragon Master is just a strong Dragon type trainer, like Lance. But there was a village elder in her village that identifies a Dragon Master as someone that has an extremely strong bond with Dragon type Pokemon. Her goal doesn't even really have a clear-cut definition. And to make matters worse, she barely encountered any Dragon type Pokemon on her journey, and she herself doesn't even own many Dragon type Pokemon. Her best Pokemon for a lot of the series was her Excadrill, and that's not a Dragon type. So there are legitimate reasons why she garners so much hate. I would like to add though that out of all the Pokegirls, she is the best battler. And in her journey, she does battle a lot of Dragon type trainers, but without a clear-cut definition of her goal, her herself not being a great Dragon type Pokemon trainer or master, you can see where her lack of character development comes from, or why I say that. So in conclusion, Iris is a female companion that constantly argues with Ash. She constantly calls him out for all the mistakes he does, even though she herself makes the same mistakes too. She has a love-hate relationship with Ash. She denies the fact that she followed him at the beginning of her journey. And she's a strong mono-type trainer that has a fear of a specific Pokemon typing. Wait, we're still talking about Iris, right? At the number 4 spot, we have Misty. Pokeshippers and Gen 1ers are about to go crazy now that I'm about to trash their nostalgia-shaded childhood crush. But this is what I never understood. Iris gets a bunch of hate for being a slightly better version than Misty, but Misty doesn't receive the same type of hate. Oh, and before I forget, being the first means nothing to me. Being part of the original cast isn't a character trait, and just because she was part of Gen 1 doesn't mean she's perfect in every single way. Take the nostalgia glasses off, guys. Some people are gonna hate me for this, but the truth hurts. Misty is an incredibly overrated character in my opinion. First off, like I said earlier, she's extremely similar to Iris in terms of goals. Her dream was to become the best water type Pokemon trainer ever. That's great, it's very similar to Ash, but unlike Ash, she doesn't really show any progress or ambition to achieve her goal. Let me explain before y'all kill me or hate me even more. She rarely participated in any activities that will help her get better at becoming a water type master. She participated in a beach beauty contest, a Pokemon balloon race. That's not gonna help her achieve her goal. There was that Sea King contest thing, but there's very little of her actually trying to become the best water type Pokemon trainer. What's crazy is as the Pokegirl that stayed in the group the longest, you would expect her to have the most progression towards her own goal, but she actually has the least. One thing I do want to add to her character is that it was incredibly kind of her to stop her journey and go back and take over the Cerulean City gym because her sisters were just useless and they didn't want to go back and the gym was going to be closed. But what really bothers me is someone as stubborn and aggressive as Misty gets forced to drop everything because her useless sisters don't want to be in the gym anymore. And no way should anyone, not even your own family, decide what you want to do for your future. But that's just my opinion. Moving on to character design. I'm being honest, I'm not the biggest fan when characters are over-sexualized. Especially someone as young as Misty. No way would a 10-year-old be wearing a crop top and really short shorts. I would like to add though, she does have my favorite hair color in female protagonists. What can I say? I like the redheads. And finally, fan reception. Misty will always have a place in some people's hearts for literally just being the first female protagonist. But if you honestly ask yourself, if she wasn't the first, what makes her so special from the rest? In fact, in Japan, Misty is very unpopular. A poll back in 2013 ranked Misty last in terms of popularity of all the Pokegirls, and that's even before Serena was introduced. So comments like this only about her relationship with Ash, which is wrong, but I'll get to her when it's her turn. But if you actually think about it, Misty is more dependent on Ash than Serena. As I said earlier, her character really didn't progress at all in the series, and most of her fans are just Poke shippers, not just fans of Misty herself. But I rest my case. In third place, it pains me to say this, but we have Mei. Let's start off with her character design. I think Mei is just adorable. Her little pigtail thingies remind me of Latias, which is from her region, and I'll be lying if I told you I wasn't a sucker for a girl in a bandana. And thankfully she isn't too over-sexualized, she's not on Misty's level, but her little pants things are kinda tight. But that's whatever. Onto her fan reception, Mei isn't too popular compared to some of the other girls on this list. This may be caused by the fact that she is mostly known as being Misty's first replacement, so she garners some hate for that. And just for other reasons that are kinda unknown to me, she just doesn't receive a lot of support in any type of capacity compared to the other girls like Dawn, Serena, or even Misty. And that kinda makes me sad because she had great character development. Mei started off as a character that didn't even really have a goal, she just used becoming a Pokemon trainer to explore the world and travel. That changed when she found the world of Pokemon contests. Pokemon contests helped Mei grow as a person, from one that was kinda selfish and didn't even like Pokemon, to someone that now cherishes them and thinks about her Pokemon before herself. To add on to this, one of the things I found admirable about Mei is the fact that she didn't follow a path that was laid out for her. She didn't become a gym leader like her father, she just did her own thing and she enjoyed every second of it. And in second place, we have Serena. Y'all probably shocked that I don't have Serena at the number 1 spot even though she's personally my favorite Pokegirl, but I'm not gonna let my bias get involved in this ranking. As I said earlier, this is based solely off the 3 things I said. So let's start off with her character design. I'm being honest when I say I think Serena is one of the most beautiful girls in anime ever. Mainly because both of her designs have little to no fan service, and throughout the whole series she is rarely, if ever, over-sexualized. For me, she's up there with Kaori, Asuna, and Mikasa, who just have effortless beauty. Moving on to fan reception, she is the most popular Pokegirl in Japan right now, and even in the West, she is very popular. Her only true competition in Japan is Dawn, who I said earlier is beloved in Japan. Fun fact, Serena's voice actress just made an appearance on Pokenchi last week, and Serena was introduced as the legendary heroine. And while all the other Pokegirls got about 5 seconds of screen time while recapping the 20 years of Pokemon, Serena had a whole segment just about her. Just all in all, from forums I've read, fan posts, and YouTube comments in my video, link in the description, and other videos, Serena seems to garner the most love and most support out of all Pokegirls, with Dawn just right behind her. Finally, let's talk about her character development. In my opinion, she has the second best character development out of all the girls, right behind Dawn. But all she is a super fangirl to Ash. No, here's where you're wrong. She's so much more, you just have to pay attention. Most of Serena's hate comes from people just bashing how long it took her to actually choose a goal, and the fact that she only has 3 Pokemon. But I love that it took her so long to choose a goal. It made her seem sorta real. Like honestly, it's not easy finding something you're truly passionate about and making a career out of it. Also, she's a Pokemon performer. She doesn't need a team of 6. She has a great bond with her big 3, and adding more Pokemon would just complicate things, so there's no need to have a whole team of 6. But now let's take a look at Serena's journey / her progression. At the beginning of the series, Serena had no goal, no ambition, and all she wanted to do was be with Ash. And right here is where Serena gets most of her hate from. But people don't realize how far she's grown by the end of the series. Let me explain. As I said earlier, she had no true goal, but she eventually finds one when Shauna introduces her to the world of Pokemon performing. But even after deciding to become a Pokemon performer, she wasn't any good. She was starting from scratch. She was a novice. It actually took her a while to win a contest. But between her first major failure and her first major victory, you see a ton of growth. People like to point to her design change as a huge sign of her maturing, and while this is very true, I would like to point out in the tiny details in her preparation that showed how much she matured mentally. In her first contest, she lost due to Fennekin tripping because Serena, being a pretty girl and a novice, didn't realize that the bow was too long. She would later understand this shortcoming and make conscientious decisions about their outfits so this wouldn't happen again. You can also say that her Pokemon are maturing alongside with her. One example is this smug face that Fennekin has early on in the series, and by the time she becomes a Braixen, you can see that her face is no longer smug, but actually shows a lot of humility. I could go on about tiny scenes that probably no one noticed while watching the anime that shows how Serena's journey was the telling of a woman coming of age. But then the video will be too long, so instead I'll leave a link to 3 videos by a YouTuber named Arthur who goes heavily into Serena's character development, so if you want to go watch that, all those links will be in the description below. I highly recommend those videos, they're fantastic, and the dude is very smart. But let's finally talk about her relationship with Ash, and I will make this quick because I don't want to factor any of the pokey shits with any of the girls into this video, but Ash does influence Serena heavily, so it will be dumb for me not to talk about it. Once again, at the beginning of the series, Serena sees Ash as a knight in shining armor and someone that she probably will never be able to reach. Just in conversations they had, you could tell that she wasn't comfortable talking to him as equals. It wasn't until after she chose her goal that she started gaining confidence in her relationship towards Ash. She went from not being even able to hold his hand or even talk to him without hesitating to someone that had enough confidence in herself to hold his hand, guide him, have a real heart-to-heart argument, not an argument just for argument's sake and comedic purposes, you know who I'm talking about, and you know, something else. So yes, Serena's character does involve Ash, but her journey doesn't ultimately just revolve around him. Instead, Ash is a tool to help us see Serena grow. And our number one Pokegirl is Dawn. At the end of the video, I'm going to show you my little score sheet to show you how I ranked all the Pokegirls. But first, let's start off with Dawn's design. I just really like it. The blue hair is unique compared to all the other Pokegirls because it's not a natural hair color in like the real world. And she isn't overly sexualized, which I really appreciate. Even though her skirt is kinda short for a 10-year-old, but it's whatever. She pulls it off. Next up, we have her fan reception. Dawn is beloved in the Pokemon community. Back in that 2013 poll, she ranked first and by a pretty good amount. And as of right now, Serena is the only companion that has a larger following than her. But I would like to add that out of all the Pokegirls, Dawn is unique because she gets the least hate. There's just very little not to like about her. And finally, up to her character development. I'm gonna make this quick because I'm not trying to make this video any longer than it has to be. But personally, I really love Dawn's story. It's a story of someone that was actually very good at the beginning of their journey, but stumbles halfway through. And as the audience, we get to see her cope with her depression and her failure, only to see her rise again. And to be honest, Dawn is just a great character. There's not much you can say wrong about her. And that's about it. Here's how I scored all the girls. Dawn and Serena were tied, but I gave the nod to Dawn because character develop Pokemon. You should hit that subscribe button as well as turn that notification icon on. And yeah, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.